Hello everyone, thank you for being here. This video you are going to see now, it's a presentation of the whole workshop that we are going to offer you in January. It's just a short explanation of every subject that we will talk about. So in this first part, we will talk about the scent, what is the scent and how does it move, because we think that this is important for you to understand. We will talk about search and rescue dogs. We know you are already in a search and rescue group, but we would like to explain a little bit more our vision of a search and rescue group and the difference between dogs that search for the scent and dogs that follow the scent. This is the most important aspect that will differentiate search area search dogs or air scenting dogs and man trailing dogs. This is why we want to clarify. We will talk also a little bit about man trailing, the goal of the man trailing team as we in the Cocker method we see it. We will talk about basic things, basic stuff about the dog, the runner, the handler, the equipment that we will need for man trailing, which I am assuming that you already know, but anyway, we wanted to share it with you. And then we will talk a little bit about the Kocher method, the pillars, the basic aspects of the Kocher method that we think will be important for you, so you are ready when we start on day one. Okay, so here we go. Our dogs work with scent, but scent is something invisible, so sometimes it's difficult to understand what they are doing when they are working or when they lose the scent, etc. So scent is basically the sensation resulting from the reception of a stimulus through the olfactory system. Okay, humans and dogs have more or less the same olfactory system, but the dogs is much more developed and has much more receptors, olfactory receptors, that allow the dogs to perceive more scents, to be able to differentiate or discriminate more scents. And there's nothing that can be like the dog's nose, actually, really. I think a lot of people are trying to build robots that can simulate the nose of a dog, but up to the present, this is not possible. The other molecules are volatile organic compounds, okay, then move through the liquids and through the air. This, you will see that they are unique and individual. The scent is individual from every one of us. People smell, people smell too many things, okay? They talk about, scientists talk about the primary odor, secondary odor, tertiary odor, but it's important to understand that the most important one, it's the primary odor, which is our scent with no other scents on top of it. Okay, so it's the scent that our skin bacteria or our breath emits to the air, which is essential and only for belonging to me. Okay, it's unique. The age, the gender, the diet, everything will affect my scent and everybody's scent. A person eating a lot of spices will not smell or the same as another person who eats with less spices, for instance. Okay, so all these things will make every person's scent unique. Every day the humans, we change the skin. It looks like a little bit not very nice, but this is a fact. We change our skin. Also, we emit a scent through the breath, for instance, from through the sweat. All this contains bacteria that create this or emit these scent molecules, these volatile organic compounds, to the air. So as long as there is food for the bacteria to feed on, the bacteria will continue emit scent molecules that are the ones that our dogs will perceive. Okay, so it's important that we understand that. There are studies that say that about 60 trillion skin cells are shed every day. This, in English, they call them rafts. And this is one of the most important cues for a man trailing dog. They are essential for a tracking dog, and they are also an important cue for the man trailing dog. these rafts that we talked about, these rafts containing the scent, move with the wind, of course, because some of them are very, very light. Some others are a little bit more heavy. So you can imagine, like in these two drawings, that we have scent going out from the head, from the hair, the breath, etc. And then heavier scent of those heavier rafts that are skin flakes, for instance, the hair, etc., etc. These will fall closer to the footsteps of the person walking, right? So now that we understand a little bit, we will talk more in depth when we are together. But when we know already what the dogs sniff, we will see how they do it, how they work. I will explain you now how we, Ernest, and the firefighters here in Catalonia work. It may be different in your area, but well, I will explain the way we do it here because it may be similar. So when there's a search, the firefighters are in charge of the search in hostile environments like woods, forests, etc. The police takes care of more urban areas. At least that's what happened in the years before, years ago. So what they do is the head of intervention or the head of the search, they split the area in like squares or parts, and this head of intervention gives one of these squares to somebody like volunteers walking, I don't know, and dog teams also. Okay, so when the dog team goes in one of these areas with the area search dog, they make sure that the person is not here, is not in that area. They go back to the head of intervention to tell there is nobody there. So the air scenting dog basically checks areas. If there is somebody, they offer the ID, the trained final response, which is normally barking. And if there is nobody, they have to go back and then they inform about this. The air scenting dog, depending on the training, searches for live people that do not move normally, all ages, all sexes, all ethnicities. Okay, this is also important because if you don't train everything, the dog will not search for everything, for every type of person. That is an important detail. So what happens if we have a man-trailing dog in the team, which is the reason why everybody is implementing or adding man-trailing dogs in the team? Because if you, for instance, from the point last seen, you make like a big circle to search. Here in Catalonia, they do like a 500-meter circle around the point last seen. This takes a long time, takes a really long time to thoroughly search. So if you have a man-trailing dog that can start from that point with a scent article and can give us one direction, this can speed up the search. Okay, even if the team doesn't arrive to the person, the team indicates a direction. Here in Catalonia, for instance, when the people see that the dog team is moving towards one direction, they already send the drones or the helicopters to check that direction. Okay, this is a very, very effective way to speed up the search. And also, of course, they can work in urban, which other teams, air scenting teams, cannot. And so nowadays, the police and the firefighters here are cooperating. And if the search is in urban areas, they call the firefighters to help with the man-trailing dogs because they don't have man-trailing dogs, the police. Here in Catalonia, only the police has cadaver dogs and area search dogs, of course, detection dogs, but no man-trailing dogs, so they cooperate. The most important thing is that we understand that both area search dogs and man-trailing dogs are not something separate. They must cooperate. They are complementary. For instance, here in Catalonia, when the man-trailing team starts the trail, and if the dog arrives to a certain area in the woods, for instance, where it's difficult to work with a man-trailing dog, they stop the man-trailing dog there, and then they start the air scenting dogs from that point and make like a circle around this point. And this way they have found already people. So it's been proven that it's a very successful way to find people with the cooperation of the two teams. Because as you know, because you are in a search and rescue group, we must not always want to find ourselves. We want the person to be found. We don't care who finds the person, as long as the person is found as soon as possible. And we must understand that the man trailing, even also the area search team, are not the only ones working, and they are not fully responsible for the outcome. They should work well. They should do their job thoroughly, but that's it. They are like a part, at least here in Catalonia, a part of a big operation that is deployed when a person is missing. I talked a little bit about how the job of the man trailing dog and the job of the air scenting dog. Now I would like to go a little bit more in detail about this. So these are just small reminders that, as you know, the air scenting dogs, for us, we say that they are dogs that search scent cones. They make, like, for instance, like a zigzag or something like this, with the handler sending them to one specific area and then coming back, etc., until the dog gets information from the wind, locates the scent cone, and goes directly. They work with generic scent. They don't need a scent article. In training, we teach them to find all types of people, as we said before, with long-term memory, so they remember. With training, they put in the long-term memory all the types of people that they have to find. They, of course, work off-leash, work in the wilderness, disasters, landslides, avalanches, etc. Normally, they work with the head up, searching information in the wind. This is why we call them air scenting dogs. They search information in the wind and may or may not ignore the footsteps. In training, you teach them not to follow the footsteps or the trail, but in real life, if they do, everything is good, so as the person is found. Now I would like to talk about the tracking dogs, because it's also important that we understand the difference between a tracking dog and a man trailing dog. Okay, the tracking dog, we call them dogs that follow footsteps with human scent. Okay, it's not like IGP tracking, of course, or ERO tracking. This is more like a little bit more free tracking, following the footsteps that contain human scent. But they are always expected to work with the nose on the ground and pretty much on top of the footsteps, okay? Not like AGP, but following the footsteps very close to where the person has been. Like the man trailing dogs, they work with a short-term memory, with a scent article, although some police tracking dogs, for instance, they don't use a scent article. They go to the starting point, the starting area, and from there they find the freshest trail, but not in search and rescue. They tend to ignore the particles in suspension. They do have risks. It works, of course it works, but they do have risks or difficulties. They may change footsteps if they are not trained correctly. They may have difficulties in urban environment, especially in intersections where a lot of cars are crossing, etc. They may have difficulties in old trails because there is not a lot of ground disturbance, and then they rely a lot on the ground disturbance. Okay, so as here in this footnote says, in tracking, the dog learns to associate the footsteps as being the cue for a victim. Okay, so, and sometimes they even they ignore other means of communication, and then just follow footsteps. And if you don't train appropriately, as I said before, they may change footsteps. Okay, this is important to take into account. It doesn't mean that it doesn't work, but has more limitations, I think. So for the man trailing dog, as you can see in the image here, I didn't tell you before, but these images on the left are taken from a book called Scent and the Scenting Dog by William Sirotuk, an amazing book, very small one, but very useful, very interesting. So the man-trailing dog works depending on the wind with the trail, with the scent trail, not only footsteps. They may also use the footsteps, but not necessarily. They may work separate from the footsteps depending on the wind, because they follow scent. They don't follow footsteps, okay? They work with the head more horizontal, but they learn with experience to put their head down or up depending on what they need at every moment, as long as they follow the scent, the specific scent that they have been provided with through the scent article. They have some things in common with the tracking dogs, like they work with a scent specific trail, short-term memory, because once they have followed this person, they can forget about it, and then the next person that they will need to search, they will be given a different scent article, so they don't need to keep to store in the memory the scent of every single person they follow. They are not footsteps oriented, as I said. This is a difference with tracking. They have this freedom to follow the scent as best as they can. They can work in urban areas, which is very important also. They can work in contaminated areas, contaminated from other people, from cars, from dogs, from trash, etc. And they can work with quite old trails, always depending on how you train them. As Kevin Cocker says in the book, you must understand that scent moves with the wind, so do not expect your dog to follow the trail like following footsteps, okay? This is something that we must really, really take very much into account. So as you can see, in general, you can make a big difference, which is essential, which is that there are dogs that follow scent and dogs that search for scent. Tracking dogs, trailing dogs, they follow scent. Air scenting dogs search for scent. Okay, this is very important, because one of the things that we must avoid is to let our man trailing or tracking, but we are here to teach you man trailing. We have to avoid or prevent our man trailing dogs from searching the scent. Okay, this will be a big no-no. Now we will go very quickly through these little some aspects of the man trailing team: the dog, the runner, the handler, the leash and the harness, the reward, and the scent article. Very briefly. Well, we have been doing lots and lots of workshop seminars along the years, and we can tell you that definitely all dogs can follow a trail, all dogs can work, but it will always depend on different aspects of particular dogs. Sometimes we talk about breeds, we talk about herding breeds, shepherds or hounds, what is best, what is better. Every different breed has pros and cons. Okay, so we have to really think about it very carefully when we decide to get a trailing dog. Apart from the breed, there are many aspects that we must consider when getting a trailing dog. They must be in good physical and mental condition, a stable temperament. They must be social with other dogs and people, at least more or less social, okay, or not reactive. Let's say cooperative with people, that they like to do things, especially with the handler, of course. That they have a high self-esteem, are a little bit mischievous, not submissive and obedient. You have to think that we will ask our man trailing dogs to work 8 meters in front of us and very independently. Okay, so not every dog can do this. Okay, they need to be curious. They need to like to use the nose to explore things. Independent, for the reason I told you before. They should like to hunt or search for things. Okay, they should be resilient, able to adapt to difficult situations, and they should have some good tolerance to frustration, because this is not easy. But not a dog team, a man trailing team is not only the dog, it's also the handler, and the handler plays a very important role, and you will see this these days. The handler must know and read his dog, must know what motivates his dog, whether food, whether it's toys, etc. Must know about dog behavior a little bit to understand what is going on with the dog. Must take care of the dog's welfare. That's for sure, of course. must be in good physical condition. And of course, if they want to improve, they must be like constant in the training, because this is preparing a man-trailing dog takes time and takes a lot of hard work. So the runner or trail layer is the person who lays the trail that our trailing dog will have to find and follow. Okay. Uh, of course, all the handlers must be runners for the teammates. Okay. So when I talk about the runner, I talk about every handler. And sometimes there's people in the search and rescue groups, volunteers who don't have a dog, and they volunteer themselves to be runners. Okay. So we should also think about educating them if they don't know how to be good runners. Runners should have a good knowledge of canine language and canine behavior. They should be able to modulate the tone and intensity and energy. They should be expressive, and they should be flexible. They should adapt the energy and the tone and everything to the dog that they have in front. They should be able, of course, to follow directions and to work in a team. As you will see in the Cocker method, the runner plays a very, very essential job, because in the trails with motivation, like the intensity and delayed start intensity trails, we will talk about this later. The role of the runner is to tease the dog, to increase the desire of the dog to follow him or her, and then to reward at the end. Okay, so the teasing and the rewarding are very important moments of the trail, and if the runner doesn't do it appropriately, the dog will not want to follow this runner or other general runners in general. So it's essential that we have good runners, especially at the early stages of training. But it's a little bit the same as air scenting dogs. When when you start with an air scenting dog, especially if it's a puppy, you really need very good runners to reward the dog when the dog arrives. So this is something similar that we share in common with the Cocker method and air scenting training. We don't need a lot of material for man training. We need only a long leash or lead, about 7 to 10 meters, and a harness, a nice comfortable harness, no anti-pull, of course, more like the one on the right hand side than on the left. The harness on the left is the one I started with because it was very fashionable. It's the Julius K9 and everybody was wearing this one, so I bought it. But as soon as I changed to the other one that I have now, which is also from the same brand, but it's extremely comfortable and the dog works much better because he doesn't have this strap here disturbing the dog. Okay. And the long leash, we need it for safety. We need it for distance, to give some distance to the dog, but always with safety. And because this way, with a longer leash, the dog will have more movement, freedom of to move following the scent trail. One of the basic tools for a man-trailing team to be able to work is a scent article, and if possible, a scent article that is not contaminated by anybody else. We will talk about scent articles and how to make scent article transfers, etc., or how to take scent with a target during these days. The reward will be also very important. We call it the rabbit because man-trailing is like hunting. So we will talk about this. I'm sure that everybody already knows what is the best reward for their dogs, but we can talk about it because it will be very important. Because depending on the reward, the dog will be more motivated to follow the scent and find the person. But we will not only talk about the reward, but also about the rewarding moment, okay? Because it's also very important how the runner and then the handler deliver the reward to the dog. For us in the Cocker method, it's very important that when the dog receives the reward at the end of the trail, we create a very, very strong and positive emotion in the dog's brain, that we celebrate together with the runner and with the handler. So the dog understands that this is the best game ever. And this way we are also preparing the dog for the next trail. As Kevin Cocker says in this sentence, your next trail will be as good as the celebration of the last one. Okay, so we want the dog to finish with a very, very positive emotion, So when we ask the dog to trail again, the dog will say, yes, I love this game. That's motivation is one of the keys of this method. Now we can have a closer look at the Kocher method. As you know, Irina, Ernest, and myself, we are members of the INBTI, the International Bloodhound Training Institute. That is the international organization that was founded by Kevin Kocher, author and creator of the Kocher method. Kevin Kocher was a policeman. Unfortunately, he passed away. And he was a man trailing dog trainer and handler for more than 40 years. And he, after all these years of watching dogs and training dogs, he decided one day to put together some information about the way he trained and developed this method. This is a very simple method. Well, you will see that it's very simple for the dog. It's more challenging for the handler because it requires more involvement from the handler, not just being behind the leash. It's a method that is based on in the dog's natural instincts, behaviors, and characteristics. You will see that it's very natural for the dog. Everything that the dog will do comes very natural to him. And as I told you before, this method was created after observing many hundreds and hundreds of dogs working. The first booklet that Kevin wrote, was in the 90s. Read Any Training or Tracking Dog. And later on, he developed this the whole book, the big one, which is the book that we follow, and it's called How to Train a Bloodhound Police Dog. It's the basics or the core of the Kocher method of man trailing. The goal of the IMBTI is to provide handlers with the tools necessary to prepare successful teams and to empower handlers globally to have a positive impact in law enforcement and search and rescue missions. This method was developed by Kevin, who was a policeman. So one of the cores of this method is to provide information. You will see that we are not only focused on finding people, but basically we are more focused on providing information. This is why it's a method that works so well at operational level, because what any search and rescue group or the police or firefighters, what they do is search for information and gather information like a puzzle. Where they build a puzzle with information from different tools or people participating on the search to narrow it down. So this is why this is such an effective method in real cases. This is why both Irina and Ernest use it, and their canine units are using this method. As I told you, providing information is the goal of a man trailing team according to our method. Which is this information? The dog must be able to tell us if there is a trail in the starting point, if there is a trail, which way does it go, and where does it finish. And the dog will have to inform us with an ID, with a trained, what some people call a trained final response. And if there is no trail, the dog should also tell us, also again with a trained final response. The goal of any man trailing team should be, or is, like the real case situation, go to one place, collect a scent article, or maybe on site, collect a scent article from the missing person, go to the point last seen, where the person has been seen for the last time, start a routine, and then start working, follow the trail, or maybe give us a no scent ID if there is no trail in the area. Okay, but all these we have to build the understanding in the dog. The dog needs to understand what's happening at every moment. This method of mind training has a different pillars, the essence of the method, which all the instructors from all over the world will teach you. Canine training with intensities. This is one of our mottos. We will talk about it later. Strengthen the dog's foundations. We never assume that the dog knows everything and that we just have to move forward. We always go back to basics, always back to basics. So we have always the dog fully motivated and fully engaged, fully committed whenever we need him to work. Read the negative indications. This is a very important aspect of the Kocher method, to be able to read our dogs and get information from their body movements. The difference between dog training and team training, meaning dog training is known trails, team training blind trails. Component training, we will talk also about this. And your money is in urban. This is a very typical Kevin Kocher's sentence, meaning that where the man-trailing dog can make the difference is in urban areas where no other dog can work. Intensity trail will be the foundation of our work. It's a type of start, and if we want to continue strengthening the foundation, as we told you, we will keep doing intensity trails always during the whole life of the dog, to keep our dogs driven, focused, and thus having the possibility of having a very high success rate. The intensity means simply to tease the dog at the start. The runner will be in the starting point, teasing the dog, which means motivating the dog to follow them. Drop a scent article, and the dog will have to follow the scent, and then the dog will be rewarded once he arrives to the runner. This is an intensity. Of course, we do a starting routine first, but this is a type of start that we use to teach the game, to increase the motivation, and to create a mindset in the dog that will make him ready to face any challenges that may appear during a trail. Reading the dog, what do we mean when we say reading the dog? As Kevin says in the book, canines do not follow a trail like it's a ball on a string. While tracking or trailing, a dog must actually eliminate directions of travel in order to follow its prey. Since all dogs go through this elimination process, when following prey, they all show the same basic movements. Watching these movements will give the handler a lot of information, okay? When we read the dog, Kevin Kocher described a few movements that are like staples that every dog does to a different extent, which are called the negative indications. So these are movements, body movements of the dog while following the scent, that they will give the handler some information. Where does he scent? There is no scent, etc. And Kevin described them and called them negative indications. So when we talk about reading the dog, we talk about reading the negative indications, these body movements of the dog. When we talk about component training, which is something that it's really, 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 for me, fantastic for the dog, the training of the dog, we are talking about training anything, any situation, any obstacle, any challenge that the dog may encounter in real life. So the basic idea is to put these components in a short trail, and the dog is rewarded at the beginning once they overcome the component, or where they solve the component. So the dog gets rewarded for that. It's a very interesting way of training, because you will see that nowadays you are, of course, training dogs, that everybody's talking about splitting behaviors rather than lumping behaviors. So splitting behaviors means if you want a big behavior, to build a big behavior in the dog, you split it in small behaviors, and then you chain them. You put them together in a chain of behaviors. So this would be like the idea of component training. It's like a marathon. A marathon runner, here you can see Ernest. A marathon runner doesn't always train running marathons. So they have like, one day it's for cardio, one day is for speed, endurance, etc. So component training means we split some small components of things or challenges the dog may face in a trail. We put them in a small trail and a very short trail, and then we will put them in longer trails. Okay, this way we build the resilience of the dog, we build the self-confidence of the dog, and that positive mindset that I told you before. When we talk about types of training, remember I mentioned before, we talk about dog training and team training. Basically, dog training means that the handler knows the trail, and we do these known trails to learn to read the dog. We need to learn the body movements of our dog because every dog is a little bit different. So the handler needs to learn how the dog behaves or reacts to any situations during a trail. And in dog training, since we know the trail, we also teach the dog not to make mistakes. We teach the dog the game, which is following scent. Then, when we think we know how to read our dogs more or less, we start doing team training, which means we do blind trails, and we put ourselves to the test. We try to see if we can read our dogs, if we trust our dogs, etc. Blind trails are always accompanied by an instructor or a flanker who knows the trail, so they can evaluate if we are okay or we are doing okay or not. As you have seen until now, we are stressing very much the importance of being able to read our dogs because the dog will give us information. Okay, basically, our goal as a man-trailing team is to teach the dog to do confident eliminations of wrong directions. So the dog must do good negatives, clear negatives, or give also confident ID. ID. Remember, I mentioned before, we are searching for information. Is there a trail? Yes. Which way does it go? Which way? Where is it stops? Or if there is no trail, remember we said that the dog must indicate us clearly. If the dog has a problem, the trail ends, etc. And this is what we teach to the dog, the ID, identification. Okay, this is like a clear communication that the dog will make to us, to the handler, telling us this is the end of the trail. I have an obstacle that prevents me from following the trail. There is no trail at all. Or this is my runner. If the dog IDs the runner sitting in front of the runner. So all this information that we take from the dog will give us clarity, will give us a certainty, and we will be able to pass this information on to the head of the search. You will see that we have a particular starting routine in our method, which is due to the need of teaching the dog right from the start of the trail, even before we start trailing, to give us information. Remember one of the first sentences of this search for information was, is there a trail? So this, in the starting routine, the dog will learn to give us this information. And if we do always the same routine, the dog and the team, the dog and the handler will prepare themselves, will be focused on the job, and having always the same routine will give clarity both to the handler and to the dog. We will talk about the starting routine when we meet in the first day of training, but here to give you just a short explanation, we will go to the starting point, like in a real case, for instance. We will go to the starting point with scent article and the harness. We will drop the harness and scent article in the starting point. We will make a circle around the area so the dog can sniff the whole area. And because of the training, the dog will start searching for the scent. And then we will go back to the scent article. We will harness the dog, give the dog the scent, and ask the dog to start. So if we always do this routine, in the long run, if there is a trail in this moment, the dog, like in the photo in the middle with the Labrador, the dog will turn the head already on the direction of the trail, or if there is no trail, the dog will very quickly tell us in this area there is no trail, which is also very good information, and we can continue the search somewhere else. Okay. In order to be able to start in a scent article start, like in the real case, we need to train a few steps before, which are two different types of starts. What we call the intensity trail and the delayed start intensity trail. The intensity trail, we will use it. We will explain everything on the first day of the workshop, of the training, but we will use it to create understanding in the dog and the motivation and the passion. And the runner, as I told you before, will be in front of the dog, teasing the dog. The delayed start intensity trail is like the transition from having the runner in front of the dog, teasing the dog and immediately starting, to not having the runner, which is the end goal of the man-trailing team. And this is a very interesting type of start, which makes this transition more easy and more natural for the dog. Remember that in this method, we always try to make everything very natural for the dog. And something that is very important in this method is that we must take into account that we are not, the dog is not the only member of this team. We are also a member of the team. The handler is very important in the Coher method. And not only is required to learn to read the dog, but is required also to step up if the dog has a problem, okay? We normally say that the job of the man-trailing team is like 90% the dog, 10% the handler. And I explain it. The dog has to find and follow the trail and indicate with an ID if there are any problems for him to continue the trail. And the handler must be able to read that and step up if necessary. Well, how can the handler step up? So if the dog indicates that the dog has found the person, we can reward the dog. If the dog indicates an obstacle or a door or something, the handler must open this door or help overcome the obstacle so the dog can continue. And if there is no scent, also we can reward the dog for this information. If the scent ends, also we have to reward the dog. And in the case of problems like there is no scent, we have finished the trail, there is no more trail to follow, etc. There is something that we can do as handlers, which are the castings. Casting is a very important part of man trailing, and it means it's the moment when we will take the dog on a short leash and ask the dog to check a certain area or go back to see if we can recover the trail at a certain point if we lost it, etc., etc. So as you can see, we have lots and lots of important things to talk with you these days and to prepare you following a method that is absolutely operational, that is very thorough, and that was created by a policeman with this mentality of searching for information, like is there a trail, there is no trail, and teaching our dogs to be clear with us, with giving us very good negatives where there is no scent, and very clear IDs to tell us if they have problems. So I think we will enjoy ourselves very much. And since we will have lots and lots of things to work on, we will talk also very about training, keeping a training log, something where we can record all the trails that we have done, because it's really important to understand that if we want to train thoroughly, if we want to make every training important and valuable, it's important that we record everything, because our memories are very weak. So if we keep everything in written, we will be able to go back and see how we have been evolving, if we have to change something, if there is something that we haven't trained in a long time, etc., etc. And to finish with this presentation, I just want to talk to mention one successful find that we had in some years ago from a colleague of us in Catalonia. It was an 11-hour trail, started in urban and finished. It started from the victim's house, so there was full of contamination from this person and the family. It continued and went through a rural area, and the person was found well and alive in the woods. Well, not in the woods, but in a forest. And she was attempting suicide, and she had taken lots of pills. Luckily, she was found, and that was really a successful case. Here you can see two photos on the right of the real moment. This is a black Labrador, the one in the photo on the side. This man is an IMBTI assistant instructor, and this is one of the flankers helping the person that is fallen down. And this is the trail that the dog did. So it started in a completely urban area, crossed a couple of intersections, and went into the woods. So same scent contamination, we train it. Changes of surfaces, we train it. We train the focus of a dog so they are not distracted during the in more urban areas. All these things we will teach you, because you will see that everything is very real life. So yeah, this is just a short piece of information to keep you interested in, and to looking forward to these few days training together. Thank you very much, and see you soon.